In this video, we are going to talk about how to review an abstract, how to critique an abstract. And in fact, this video will be useful to anyone that also wants to write an abstract. The very first thing that we ought to understand is what is even an abstract? An abstract is a short piece of writing that gives a concise overview of the research that has been done. Let's say you've done a research of 4,000, 40,000, 50,000 words, and you need to give a concise summary of what you have done. An abstract is what is written to give that overview. And generally, we have two types of abstract. We have structured and unstructured abstract. In a structured abstract, you're going to see components, you're going to see sections like introduction, method, result, conclusion. But in an unstructured abstract, all these components will also be there. But the thing is that you will not see words like method, you will not see words like introduction. Everything will be written together with no distinct sections to tell us exactly what is the introduction, what is the method, what is the result, what is the conclusion. So you will not see that distinct section in an unstructured abstract. So in this video, for more clarity and to make it easy for us to understand exactly what should be in individual section of an abstract, I'll be using a structured abstract. And of course, these principles that I'm going to discuss here also applies to an unstructured abstract. The very first thing that you have to look out for is the title. Title of an abstract is the first thing that anyone will see. When you ask to review an abstract for a conference, you have to check, is this abstract, is the topic or title really in line with what will be discussed in this conference? Of course, you cannot reject solely based on the title unless if the title is really, really bad or is not really conveying exactly what has been done. But of course, you still need to read the whole abstract. But whenever you're writing the title, you have to make sure whenever you look at the title, you also have to look for specificity. For example, in the title that I'm showing on the screen, you will see that we have knowledge, attitude, and perception of HIV among school-age children. We don't know whether this study was done in England. We don't know whether this study was done in the US. We don't know exactly where it was done. It will always be good when you have a specific abstract. Though some people will argue that there's no need, but it's always good that you have that in your title. So a better title will look like this: knowledge, attitude, and perception of HIV among school-age children in Ibadan, Nigeria, a cross-sectional study. Now to the next component of an abstract. We have introduction or background, and in most cases, in the introduction or background, what you need to talk about mostly should be what is known, what is unknown, and what exactly are you doing? What exactly are you giving to us? I've seen quite a number of abstracts where the introduction would be written without specifying the aim, unless if there's any specific style that they want you to separate the aim from the introduction. Like you see some conferences or some journals where you have the introduction and you have another section for aims and objectives. So if there's nothing like that and the style that they want from you is introduction, method, result, and conclusion, in your introduction, the last sentence should specify exactly what is the aim of the research. Because if you don't specify the aim, how do you want us to know what you are doing? The title is not enough to do this. You can see from the screen, compared to the previous one, you can see that you don't have the aims. And in the second one, in red, you can see the aim. So the aim is specified. So whenever you are critiquing or reviewing an abstract, make sure that the aim is actually clearly specified in the introduction or the background section. Now the method. That aim, that objective, that research question that you have, how do you want to answer it? How did you answer it? How did you answer the aim? How did you address the aim? What did you do to answer the research question? And that's what the method should be all about. You are telling us exactly what you do. What is the study design? Among who was the study conducted? Where was the study conducted? How was the sampling done? How was the data analyzed? How did you collect the data? You have to look for all these components. It should be there in the sense that I should be able to have a rough understanding on exactly how you do the research. Just a rough overview, but a rough overview that is meaningful enough for me to understand what you have done. So in the method section, I should be able to understand how do you answer the aim that you specify in the introduction or method in the introduction section, I should be able to understand how you answer the aim that you specify in the introduction or background in the method section. What did you do to answer it? And in fact, some people will go to the length of specifying the tool that they use for analysis. If you have the words, you can actually include it. Remember, abstract is word tight, and you have to make sure that you write everything concisely. And then talk about this introduction section. You can make an introduction to be in two or three sentences is okay. And in fact, some people can put it in one sentence, but I always prefer to put my introduction in 2 or 3 sentences. So for the method section, you can put it can be like 4 to 5 sentences. So when you are looking at or when you are critiquing an abstract, you have to make sure that the method section actually contain all the key components that is required for us to be able to understand exactly how you have done the research. The method should be able to tell us that concisely. Now, the result or key findings. The result or key findings should be able to tell us the exact result based on the aim. If the aim of the research is to assess knowledge, attitude, and perception, I should be able to see result on knowledge, attitude, and perception. If you spell out to assess knowledge, I should not be seeing result on practice or perception in the result section. You have to always try to make sure that the result or the key findings actually balances what you have in the aim that you specify or set out to do. And your method also needs to build on that aim. And your result or key findings needs to show exactly what you find. What are the key findings? So when you're looking at the result or the key finding section of an abstract, what you need to pay close attention to is there a balance? What you set out to do, is it exactly what you are reporting? And you have to make sure that you report everything that you set out to do. For instance, if you set out to assess knowledge, attitude, and perception, I should be able to see the result. And for this study that I used, the aim was to evaluate knowledge, attitude, and perception. And you can see that we have result on knowledge, we have result on attitude, and we have result on perception. And that's how the result or key findings, and that's what exactly you should be looking out for when you are critiquing or when you are even writing your own abstract. You have to make sure that there's a form of balance. Now for the conclusion, what is the key takeaway? What is the takeaway from your findings, from your key findings, from your research? What are the key takeaways? What are the things that we need to know? And you have to make sure that there is also a balance for your conclusion. If the aim that you've written at the end of the introduction or background is to assess knowledge, I should not be seeing conclusion on attitude. I should not be seeing conclusion on perception because you didn't set out to do that. So when you are concluding, you also try to conclude based on the aim, based on your key findings. What did you find? What are the key findings? Don't talk about things that you don't find. So when you are writing your conclusion, I should be able to get a key takeaway on the key findings from your research. So this is just an overview of what you should look out for when you are writing, or when you are reviewing, or when you are critiquing an abstract. There should be a balance. Importantly, all this section and all the things that I've talked about, just in an unstructured abstract, they are also useful. Just that you will not have sections spell out, like you won't have method, you don't have introduction, you don't have conclusion, as in like a word, but you are going to have all these components, but they will be written together. So if you are reviewing an unstructured abstract, all these components and everything that I've said, you also have to look out for them.